Hello my boys, welcome to my Herald of Agony Herald build guide for Legacy of Prisha event. Before we get started, I want to put straight out the bat some warnings in case you want to do this build here. First of all, you need a budget of around 40-50 divine orbs, it's very important. Secondly, you need minimum level 91 witch. So you need to have already a witch level 91, so you can spec directly into my setup here, yeah? So this is not a league start build, you just make a witch, you level it to level 91, and you copy whatever you see in the skill tree and what I explain in this guide. It's very important so that you do it right. If you have mistakes, you won't do damage and you will die a lot, yeah? I'll put down on the screen, you have some easy guides that I made for leveling a new character and for pushing it up to 100, all the possible methods, even the cheap ones, good? Another thing that is important to notice, you want all the Ascendancy nodes unlocked. So we are a Herald, so you need to have the right Ascendancy and you need to have all these points unlocked. So it's mandatory. Again, I will repeat, around 40-50 Divine Orbs budget, minimum level 91, and all the Ascendancies unlocked. Yeah, good. Now this is not a Cyclone build. If you see me spinning around, you might think that this is a melee build. No. We're using a bunch of spells and attacks in order to trigger poisons on the enemies. That will help our Herald of Agony here deal damage. Yeah? So this is a Herald of Agony build. We're scaling damage via this guy, which is a minion. What's important to notice here is that we scale damage greatly on this build via Virulence. So this Ascendancy gives us plus 25 maximum stacks of Virulence. This is a huge damage boost. And via gem levels. And this gives us for free plus 3 gem levels. So the more gem levels we have and the Virulence, the more damage we do. So my boys, Legacy of Prisha will be by buying less than 2 months. We will never see this again. But even so, I will create a crafting guide for the reds because new players tend to overpay. So I will explain how to craft yourself some of these items really cheap. So you make them yourself. You don't need to overpay on the trade website because new players tend to copy whatever they see. And instead of crafting them for a few chaos orbs, they pay 10 divines, 5 divines because they have no clue what they're doing. So you will be a timestamp in this video on how to craft your rares very sexy. Now let's go. Okay my boys, let's start with the items, which is a very important section, so pay close attention. Let's start with the weapon. We are gonna use Dark Seer. This scepter here will give plus 2 level of all spell skill gems. It will blind the enemies and also will apply Malediction, which is a curse that increases damage and makes us more tanky. Not only that, we are getting maximum life per level and maximum mana per level. So the ideal scepter will be with these 2 modifiers because this scepter has multiple variation. Focus on maximum life, and for maximum mana ideal is with 2, but with 1 it's also fine. You can buy it like this, it will be cheaper. But you need to have 2 for maximum life, so we get more life pool here. The more life you have, the better. This is a great scepter for my build here, so you take it. The shield is very important here because it will make us crazy tanky. If you don't know, you have this modifier, chance to block is lucky, which is overpowered as fuck. So you need a Svalin shield, this is the idea, long story short. Mandatory, you take the Svalin here. For the body armor, you want Brass Dome. This has a lot of armor, which will help us with physical damage mitigation. You take no extra damage from critical strikes and gives you some maximum elemental resistances, which is good. If it's too expensive like this, you just lower. You take with a low roll on elemental resistances, like 3, 4, or 5. These are all fine. For the corruption, if you want to max it, you can take it with plus 1 level of sockety gems or plus 2 level of minion gems. You can take it later if you want. It will help the damage greatly. So this corruption here, for example, it will bump up my Herald of Agony with 1 gem level. Not only that, the Empower support will get to level 5. Either you buy one with plus 1 sockety gems or plus 2 minion gems. Again, this is optional. If you are poor, you start with 1 without any corruption. No problem here. For the boots, you want Count's Roots. We need these boots because we get the Unwavering Stance Keystone, so we don't get stunned, especially when we spin around. You don't want to get stunned, you want to play smooth. That's why we need these boots. Also, they have a lot of life that will give you a higher life pool, which is sexy. And also, you can get with a good corruption. The best corruption for this one is chance to suppress spell damage. Look also for maximum endurance charge corruption or movement speed corruption. These are also fine if this will be expensive after I post this video. For the amulet, you want Ashes of the Stars. This is a great amulet because it will give plus 1 to all gem skills. And the quality effect, it's big for our build here, you can see. So you can start with 1 chip with a low roll on the quality, but later you want to get close to perfect, because we benefit greatly out of quality for the Herald of Agony gem. Basically, it will give you more maximum virulence. So instead of 5, we have plus 12, which is huge. And this will also help you with the other gems that we will talk in a second, especially this one, Ball Lighting of Orbiting. It benefits from this one, Ashes of the Stars, so it's important. Now for the ring here, you want a Circle of Nostalgia ring, and you want with these two modifiers, Agony Crawler, this increased damage, and Chaos Resistance while affected by Herald of Agony. This will help you to cap your Chaos Resistance very easy. So you'll be Chaos Resistance capped from this ring and the Ascendancy here, that will give you here Chaos Resistance 75% while affected by Herald of Agony. Now, the dream would be to have this implicit, you gain onslaught on hit, but it's not mandatory because you can use simply a silver flask. As a matter of fact, to make it easy to follow, in the POB I will delete this implicit so people understand that it's not mandatory. This ring is very cheap with these modifiers, just make sure you get one with good rolls. Look, it's cheap, it's a cheap ring. You can also divine it if it has good implicit, you can divine it later. So Circle of Nostalgia, it's mandatory. Now let's talk about the rare items. Let's start with this ring here. Basically you want a ring with a lot of life, with a lot of resistances, and you will craft this beauty here. This is a June Craft Veiled modifier. You put non-channeling skills have to mana cost, you know. It's 7. But if you apply Life Catalyst, it will get bumped to 8. So this is mandatory. You want this thing, non-channel skills have minus up to mana cost. You apply Life Catalyst and this will bump it up to 8. Again, this is mandatory because we don't want to have mana issues in our maps. Now for the helmet, ideally you want with armor. And you want with this modifier plus 2 level of all minion skill gems. For the other modifiers, look for life regeneration, maximum life if it's possible, and resistances of course. And you will apply ichors and embers on the rare helmet. This beauty is here until you get some damage conversion. That physical damage from hits is taken as fire or as cold or as lighting, so you want some conversion to help with the physical hits. And for the other modifier you take whatever, I don't care, but it's mandatory to have some physical damage conversion here. Okay, my boy, let's talk about the gloves. Now for the gloves here, the most important thing is you want to be supported by chance to poison, so this is mandatory. You want again, Sockety gems are supported by chance to poison. This will make it that the whole setup here will apply poisons. So it's mandatory. So the Tornado, the Cyclone, and the Ball Lighting will apply poisons that will help the Herald of Agony deal damage here. And with a lot of life. So these are the two mandatory modifiers. You want chance to poison and a lot of life. In this video you'll have a timestamp on how to craft these gloves yourself. Very cheap and sexy. And I will also show you how to color them, because this is a strength base and you need int and dexterity jewel colors. And I will show you how easy it is to get without overpaying. Okay, my boys, and now the belt. The belt is very easy to craft. You'll have a crafting guide here. Basically you want to get this one, chance to avoid being shocked on the belt. You can spam it with an essence that we will talk. It's here Essence of Torment. And on the jewel you want again to have chance to avoid being shocked, and this needs to reach 100% because we're using a sexy jewel that will give us elemental element cap. It's called Storm Shroud. If we have 100% chance to avoid being shocked. On the other modifiers, look for life, look for resistances, you know the drill. Yeah, it's very easy to craft. You have the crafting guide in this video. I think I explained all the items. Now for the flasks, it is mandatory to have this one, Rumi's Concoction, with perfect roll. You want with 12 and 6 chance to block, because some map modifiers will lower your block chance, and this will help you. So you'll have from time to time modifiers that lower your block chance, and this will help with those modifiers. Also will give you some flat armor, which is good. Enchanted when charges reach full. You will want a Divine Life Flask with this modifier, immunity to bleeding and corrupted blood. It's very important. Yeah, so when you start bleeding, you use the flask and the bleeding is gone. You want Divine Flask with immunity to corrupted blood. You want a Mana Flask. We don't have mana issues by default, but there are altar modifiers. There are, even in ultimatums, modifiers that lower your regeneration, and also map modifiers. There are scenarios in which you will need mana. That's why I suggest that you use a Mana Flask for now. I will prepare a maxed version of this where we're gonna use a Mage Blood, but until then you should use this setup. You want a Quicksilver Flask so you move fast, roll it yourself with Orb of Alteration until you get some decent modifiers, yeah? But the base type, it's important. You want a Quicksilver Flask. And here you want a Silver Flask, because this will give you Onslaught. Or you can get the onslaught on a rare ring like this. You can get the implicit like this and you craft it. You have the crafting guide in this video. And I think I talked about everything here. Yeah, so these are the items. Let's move on. Okay, my boys, now let's talk about the gem setups. Some of these setups are flexible. You can move them around. For example, the setup from the scepter, you can put it in the shield and vice versa, but some of them are mandatory to stay where I show you. For example, this setup will remain always inside the gloves. Here, you want Cyclone level 1 with quality, 20 quality, so you move faster. Again, I need to stress that it needs to be level 1 so you don't have mana problems. It's important. You leave it like this, level 1. You don't level it up further. You want Tornado of Elemental Turbulence, so this is an alternate version, because it will summon maximum 3 tornadoes. So instead of 1 tornado, it will summon 3 of them that will apply poisons. Yeah, so the more tornadoes, the better. Again, you want to have it level 1, it's important. Here you want to have a cast on channeling support, ideally with high level. And here you want ball lighting of orbiting, yeah, and apply quality because it brings, it gives you more base radius, it will help you to stack the poisons. Again, it needs to remain level 1. So this you need to understand that you don't want to level the Cyclone, the Tornado element of turbulence, and the ball lighting should remain level 1, else you'll have big mana issues. Yeah, so I explained this, not my fault if you don't pay attention. For the boots, you don't need to worry because we don't have gem sockets, and our main gem setup is as follows. You want Herald of Agony, ideally you want a level 21-20 skill gem, since we scale damage greatly on gem levels. If you are starting out and you're poor, you can buy level 20-20, but the damage will be slightly lower, still fine because we are pumping a lot of damage. Here you want Awakened Minion damage support. Here you want damage on full life. You can buy 21-20 or 20-20 is fine. Here you want Awakened Void Manipulation. Here you want Empower level 4. These are mandatory, this needs to stay in the body armor, this needs to stay in the gloves. And now let's see what I have in the scepter. I have a Convocation, Link to Automation, and Steel Skin. Basically, inside our maps as I play, I will get Steel Skin from time to time, and the Herald of Agony will get teleported to me always, so doesn't run around. It's a quality of life, so we have a single button play. Basically, this is all that you need to do. You spin around inside your maps, and for unique enemies, you can curse with Despair, which we will talk in a second. Let's see, for the shield, we have Despair. This will curse the enemy, making them take increased damage, chaos damage. Now, it's important to notice that Despair has synergy with this jewel here. The Balance of Terror. Inflict Withered for 2 seconds on hit if you cast Despair in the past 10 seconds. Basically, this is a huge damage boost, so you'll buy a Balance of Terror with this modifier here. This is the mandatory one. Inflict Withered for 2 seconds on hit when you cast Despair. This will boost your damage greatly. So you're cursing the unique boss with Despair, and you also will apply Wither as you spin. This will boost your damage greatly. Tempest Shield will give you some spell block, which is nice. And Petrified Blood here, which will help you with the tankiness. Again, make sure that it's high level. You want 20-20 gem or 21-20. All these gems should be leveled up and with quality. Now for the crown, I just put my dash Second Wind. I love this for bossing a lot. It gives you flexibility. You can dash really fast, you know. It's not like Flame Dash when you have a small stop, it's personal preference, but I suggest you go with Dash and Second Wind. And here you have Raise Spectre and Feeding Frenzy. Now for the Spectre variation, I tried multiple ones, but problem is in tier 17 the Spectres dies a lot. But this one I'm using Dark Marionette, so you want Dark Marionette Spectres, because once they die, they get revived after a few seconds. And these Spectres will apply Feeding Frenzy here, which is a buff that will make your Herald of Agony much more potent. Yeah. So you link to this one. Don't try other Spectres because they will die and it's a waste of time. So you want Dark Marionettes for this one. Okay, my boys, now let's talk about the skill tree here. On purpose, I removed 4 points because I was level 95. So you can start making this build at minimum level 91. Yeah. Later, when you get more points, you will probably go like this. Take this here because it's too overpowered. And also take these nodes here like this. Yeah, will be a max version. After I make this guide, I will work on a Mage Blood version for those that want to push this even further. But let's get started to explain things. So you should copy whatever you see here, you copy it word by word, because as a new player, you tend to do mistakes, and I will explain the masteries first. Let's start somewhere. Here you have a chance to block spell damage per 5 chance to block attack damage. This will help you with the spell block. Here you will have to keep it faster. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Here we have a chance to suppress spell damage is lucky. Spell suppression is big for this build. So at the moment I have 75%. With spell suppression lucky, it's basically 100%. So this will help you mitigate greatly spell damage. Here what I have, increase mana reservation efficiency of skills, because you want to have some mana pool left here in order to use your skills as you spin around. So it's mandatory, this also. And that's about it in terms of masteries. Now let's talk about the jewels. You want to put here a natural instinct because this will give you a lot of benefits. Basically it will give you 9% chance to block attack damage, some life, attack speed, resistances. It's just too good. Skill effect duration. So here you want to put a natural instinct jewel. Yeah. Here it's an important one, Elegant Hubris with Supreme Ostentation. So you want to buy a jewel that is commemorated by Caspiro. So this is important, commemorated by Caspiro. This will give you access to Supreme Ostentation Keystone that will ignore attribute requirements. So now we don't need to worry about any attributes. As you can see, you can equip everything and you don't need to worry about strength, dexterity, and intelligence. Not only that, because we're using this jewel, you can use as many tattoos as you desire because you don't have attribute problems. Now, I suggest here using resistance tattoos. They are cheap and will also help you. So here I just use resistance tattoos everywhere, cold resistance, lighting resistance, and keep in mind that you can change the resistances using the fortification station. Let me see an example. Here. Let's say you needed lighting, you can just write here lightning. And you can see here fire to lighting. This will change my 44 fire resistance into lighting resistance. You might want to do this trick if you need it. So you will correct your resistances via the rare items and the tattoos. Here we have Reckless Defense, a jewel that will help you to cap your block, spell damage and attack damage, which is nice. I got one with preferred loot, it's not mandatory, but a high roll should be enough. Here we have Storm Shroud. This is crucial for our build to get elemental element avoidance. So you can see I'm avoiding freeze, chill, ignite, the elements, and shock. This is because of this jewel here. So it modifies the chance to avoid being shocked applied to all elemental elements. And as I explained, we get it from the belt. We have from the belt 100% and the jewel inside, chance to avoid shock. This gives me elemental element immunity. Let's check here what else I have. Yeah, you can also take the jewel socket when you max it later. Yeah. Here it's important. We have voices with 5 small passives. I talk with 5 small because it's cheaper. But of course, if you have more money and want to max it, you can take with 3 passives. But you see, it's much more expensive. That's why you'll stick with 5. 80 chaos or 100 chaos is not a big deal. For the medium cluster jewel, which is a big deal, you want it with pure agony. This one. The other one, it's optional. You can take it later. Cult Leader will give more damage, but this is the mandatory one. And you want with 4 passives, so it will save you some points. So you want 3 jewels with Pure Agony. Pure Agony gives you maximum virulence, which is important for boosting our damage. So you take with 4 passives, 3 medium cluster jewels with Pure Agony. Here we have another Reckless Defense for more chance to block spell damage and attack damage. Idea is that you want to be kept here. 68, 65 is what you want to see, because Svalin Shield lowers the maximum chance to block, that's why it's 68 and 65. You'll use this jewel, Reckless Defense, to cap it. Here we have the Balance of Terror, it's very important. Basically, when you manually curse with Despair a unique enemy, it will also give you Wither. When you spin, you will apply also Wither, which will help you greatly with the damage for the Herald of Agony. And here you want Calamitous Visions and with Lone Messenger. Don't worry about the corruption, I just got it because it was cheap. And this one will make more damage. Minion from Herald skills deal 25 more damage, so this is mandatory. And you can have only one Herald skill, which is no problem because we already had it from the Ascendancies, because aura skills are disabled. So again, Lone Messenger, Calamitous Visions. You take this one here. Good, let's see if I need to explain something else. Here we have the keystones. Here we have Magebane. Basically, it will have us more spell suppression. A little more spell suppression. Let's see how much. Let's refund this. Spell suppression 75. So 10. And because we don't need to worry about attributes, we need to benefit out of this keystone. 10 extra spell suppression for 1 point is a good deal. Other keystones here? Yeah, here. This will help us take less damage over time. You let the shade, because we don't need to worry about elemental elements anymore, so you take it here. That's about it, the skill tree here. Now let's move on My boys, now let's talk about the Ascendancy, Bandits and Pantheon. For the Bandits, you will kill all the Bandits for 1 extra skill point. It's important to put here passives, because a lot of sucky boys forget to get all the side quests from the campaign. You want to see here 24 passive skills from quests. If you have less than this, means that you missed essential skill point quests from the campaign, and you should do them ASAP. We're going for the Herald Ascendancy, because it's just great for our build here, so it's mandatory to have Herald, and you will allocate the nodes in this order. This will make your aura skills being disabled, but luckily we can use Petrified Blood, which for some reason doesn't count as an aura, and Tempest Shield here to supplement. This will give you a spell block, this will help you with more tankiness, pretty much, yeah? And here Herald of Agony, and here you want to pick the Future Nostalgia for Herald of Agony. It will also give you 75% chaos resistance for free, which is so good, so nice. Then you want to take Scourge here. It will give you plus 25% maximum virulence. This is a huge damage boost. And minions deal 66% increased damage if you are unaffected by a Herald. And we are Herald of Agony. And lastly, you want to take one Apocalypse plus free level of all Herald skill gems. This will bump greatly the Herald of Agony here. As explained, the more virulence and gem levels we have, the higher damage we do. Now for the Pantheon, you will see this beauty here. It's called Soul of Arakali. Our biggest weakness is damage over time. So it makes sense to take this one, reduce damage taking from damage over time. Now my boy, remember to unlock it fully. You'll use Divine Vessels on this until you have everything with blue text. And here you use Soul of Aberrat, and it's important to unlock it because we are using for unaffected by Burning Ground. Burning Ground does heavy damage over time, especially in tier 17 maps. You need this thing. It's mandatory, so you use a Divine Vessel in order to capture Mepod, so you get unaffected by Burning Ground, yeah? It's important. Now let's move on. Now my boys, this is the crafting section. I will do this in order to help new Path of Exile players so they don't overpay or mess things up. We will craft the gloves, we will craft the belt, we will craft our rare ring, and the helmet here. You can see everything very sexy. Let's start with the gloves here first. Let me see if I have a pair here. So basically, how to start? You want ideally gloves with a lot of armor. Where you can buy these gloves? Let's go here to see the glove bases in Path of Exile. So the best base is Leviathan Gauntlets. If it's too expensive, you'll look for the other one, Precursor Gauntlets, which is fine. Yeah, this is how you do. So Precursor or Leviathan are great, but even Titan Gauntlets, Val Gauntlets are also fine as a budget, and you upgrade them later. So you take the base, which is called Leviathan Gauntlets, you put them here, and you put influence, and you put has Elder Influence, and you want to put a high item level because you want to have other good rolls here. And you click search, and you get your base, pretty much. The bases are cheap. If you don't find Leviathan Gauntlets, no problem, you go with Precursor Gauntlets. So you whisper these guys and you get your base. After you got your gloves, you have two ways of rolling these beauties. First of all, you can use Deafening Essence of Greed, and you keep rolling until you have chance to poison. Like this, you click on it. This will guarantee that you have good life roll always, and until you get the chance to poison. Yeah? Keep in mind that you don't want faster projectiles. This is very important. So you avoid at all costs faster projectile because it will mess up with the build. Everything else is fine, but don't take faster projectiles. It's bad for our setup here. For rolling the gloves, you can also use the Fortification Station. You put the gloves here and you put Reforged Chaos. Chance to poison. And you click it until you also get a good life roll. Pretty much. For example, this one can do it. Yeah, or you can have with an open suffix and you click some armor, increased armor. Now I'll show you how to color this because this is a strength base. So getting 2 green and 2 blue, it's hard as fuck on this. And I'll show you a trick how to get it very easy. You put here socket. You put 3 sockets first. Then you put at least 2 green, 1 blue. Then you put here green and you put 2 green and 1 blue. 2 green and 1 blue socket like this. Then you go back to socket. You scroll at the top and you do this trick. You put 4 sockets. If you don't get blue here, you put 3 sockets, 4 sockets, and this will have a small chance to give you an off color like green or blue. And you keep repeating this until you get the blue socket, which is a low chance, but you will get it eventually. Yeah, this you will do it here. I got it. Yeah, that's how you do it, so you don't waste a lot of chromatic orbs. Now that you got it, and keep in mind Jeweler's Orb are cheap. And you will link it. You put link, and you put 4 link sockets, and that's how you got your gloves. You know, without overpaying, without paying divines, you craft it very sexy, very cheap, very nice. Now let's see what else. Now let's craft the belt. We go here, the sexy tab. We take a belt, you buy a Stygian Vice, ideally with a high item level. You know, because we want to roll good modifiers, it's best to have with a high item level. Stygian Vice, item level 85 or 86. Then you want to buy some Torment Essences. And what you want to do here? You will apply Torment Essence, and this will give you that modifier, chance to avoid being shocked. But because you're smart, you will click on it until you have other good modifiers, like maximum life, like resistances, for example. This is a beauty. You can use this as a temporary thing, and you can also craft something at the bench. So you go to the bench and you craft something with utility. Let me see what we can put. So we have prefix. Prefixes are not that important. Maybe a flask effect. Mana also helps you with this build. You can have mana regeneration, life regeneration. This is also good. It gives you, yeah, you can use this thing. It has utility. Okay, life regeneration, mana regeneration is fine. And you see how easy it was to craft. Keep in mind that you can use Catalyst, something that I forgot here to do. So let me see what I want. Yeah. Let's use some Catalyst here. Metamorph. And you can use Life Catalyst in this scenario. You see? It helps. So you can use Catalyst for the rings, for the amulets, and the belt. Keep in mind in case you're new. This is how you craft it. Now for the jewel, you will buy one with chance to avoid being shocked. This is the mandatory one. On top, if you want, you can get it with life. You can get with this one chance to taunt on hit with attacks. So minions have chance to taunt, so you get free taunt. And you put it here and you equip it and you're done. Now, my boys, let's see about the helmet. You will buy with +2 level of all minion skill gems. So let's see how we can search it. You go here on the website. So you'll put here helmet. You'll put here rare. You'll put here corrupted no. Of all minion skill gems. And you make sure it's 2. And you click search. That's how you search it. You will see a lot of helmets. Ideally, you want one with a strength base, and you also want one with life. So this is the 2 important modifiers, is getting one with good life and +2 minion skill gems. Ideally with armor base, so it needs to have some armor because we need it. Let me see here. This one is fine. And you look here, you buy one. Let's buy one for this presentation. Again, let's say if it's too expensive after this guy, no problem, you lower this roll. Let's put 70 and more listings will appear. If you can even put it here with armor, let's put minimum 200 and we'll filter it even more. This is great. We have increased life regeneration rate. This is good. Life regeneration helps us. Yeah, and I'll pay 100 Chaos Orb. I'll do it for this video because I want to craft it further. There are a lot of players that are fresh to the game. Okay, I got the helmet. Now let's see what we can craft. So we have one open suffix, one open prefix, which is good. Yeah, what I crafted here, I didn't have any room. You can put some resistances that you're lacking if you have suffixes. Let's put, I don't know, something that you're missing. This double resistance usually it's good. Keep in mind that you can get resistance, a shit ton of resistances from the tattoos. A reminder. You put tattoos everywhere with resistances and it's so easy to cap your resistances. Also make sure that you have more than enough because there are Ether of Vault altars that will shred your resistances. So I went above 80% because of the altars that shred resistances. I also suggest that you have more than 100 of each so you'll be really tanky in your maps. Yeah. So here I put some resistance and you can put for, if it has one open, you try an exalt or maybe you get something with utility. I got some armor. Then you will want to apply some quality. Like this, man, couldn't do 500, 499. And then you'll put some embers and ichors. So you want physical damage redirected as an element, fire, cold, or lightning. Okay, let's take this one. 6% is fine, depends on the tier of the ichors that you use, you can get more. And now here you use something with utility that can benefit your build. For example, this one is fine. This one is also fine, so you have multiple options here. This is useless because the Herald of Agony is immortal. And even here I need to stress that on damage on full life, the Herald of Agony being immortal, it cannot die, it will always be on full life. Yeah. Let's see, maybe we get something with utility. Okay, I'll settle like this. So these things help, especially lighting damage on Ether of Vault altars helps. You know, now I'm gonna check my resistances. You will see that And I need to equip it. Oh, I did a mistake. I will explain you what I did in a second. So 81, you see here, lighting resistance. What I did here, what was the mistake? I lost my specters. My boys, I will show you how to get your specters in case you suck. So you right here, Dark Marionette. These are very cheap specters, and for that you should go with Perfect because they are cheap. You see, cheap as fuck. You whisper these guys and you make sure that you buy 2 corpses. Okay, my boys, so after you got your specters, you see them here, 2 corpses, you will right click, and now the specter will be on the ground. Now here you want to put the skill Raise Specter. Keep in mind you have an aura bar. If you hold down control, you can access your aura bar. And now you want to press the specter button onto the corpse. And now you have the specter. And you repeat the same process for the second corpse. You right click it and you summon it up. You want to make sure that you remove this ability from your skill bar so you don't summon extra specters from your maps. You leave it like so. And once they die, they will get resummoned. These specters will apply Feeding Frenzy. Now you've seen it all. 2 green, 2 blue. Which again we will have a problem because it is a strength base. We will apply the same trick for getting our colors. You go here and you put socket. You start with 3 sockets. Let's see what I have. 2 green, okay. You write green and you put at least 2 green and 1 blue. Then you go to socket and you use that trick that POEGuy showed you. You put 4 sockets. You see, I got an off color, but I need the off color to be blue. It's inclined of giving me the red one, very common, but eventually I will get the blue one. Okay, I got it. And now you want these links to be separated. You put here link, and you put 2 link sockets like this. And you stop. This is how you do. And you'll put Raise Vector with Feeding Frenzy, dash, and second with like this. And you made your helmet very sexy, very nice, you see? For the ring you will buy directly from the trade website. You want it with a lot of resistances. Like this. Corrupted, no. I'll show you that trick with total resistances. The more... You don't care, you just want resistances. As many as possible because we can use the fortification station to swap resistances around. And maximum life, something decent and big. Yeah. Good, good. You see a lot of resistance. You can even find even more, 140. Let's try like this. Yeah, so many good options here. For example, this one, you can also apply Catalyst to bump the resistances even more. And you want with open prefix, most of them will have open prefix to craft this thing here. Non-channeling skills have 2 mana cost, you know. I will demonstrate 1 second. Let's buy this beauty. If it's too expensive, no problem. You lower the roll here. You put 120 until you find something in your budget. So you play with the rolls. So after you got your ring, you'll put it here and you put that one channeling. Non-channeling skills have -7. That's how you do it. Remember, if you don't have the craft, you can ask for help for someone. Yeah. You can also bump up the implicit. You should do this on all your items, so it's perfect. Here will be 23. Always bump up the implicit. Yeah, if you have open modifiers, you can try an Exalt Orb, or you can use a special Exalted Orb. You got the idea. I'll just put like this. Mana is great. I just crafted a nice ring. And lastly, you want to put life catalysts. Okay, let's see. 40, 10. Man, I'm ruining my video. Let's put like this. Okay. You put life catalyst. This will also bump the non-channeling to -8, which is mandatory. And this is how you crafted a really good ring for this build. Now, if you want to max it later, I will show you something here in the sexy tab. So I explained the best thing is that you can get onslaught on hit from the Circle of Nostalgia here. Yeah. So with these modifiers and this, but you can also get it on the rare ring, which will be cheaper. So with this synthesized implicit, it's like 2 divine orbs, 3 divine orbs at the moment. Yeah. And you will craft it yourself. After you get your base, you will go to the fortification station and you will put Reforge Life until you get a good life roll and some resistances. Pretty much you want to get something similar to this. You just click here until you get a good life and resistances. That's how you craft it. But this you can do it later because, as explained, we're using a silver flask that will give you onslaught. This is for maxing later. You can do it like this. Eventually you will hit something good and you will wear it. Yeah. Keep in mind you also have Exalted Orbs and Orb of Annulments that you can play with. you will hit it eventually, something really decent. But now, just I wanted to show you the process. That's how you will do it. If you want to change sockets on a corrupted body armor, you get it with the corruption and you're new to the game, you can apply tainted currency. Yeah. So I'll put the guide in the description of this video for the tainted currency, how you can socket it yourself. You will use tainted jeweler's orb, tainted chromatic orbs, and tainted fusing. So for this, it's hard to get 3 green, 1 blue. You will just use tainted chromatic orbs on the corrupted body armor, and you will see it's pretty easy to get this color combination. 3 green, 2 red, 1 blue. You just use tainted chromatic orbs if it's corrupted. This is the easiest way to get your right colors. You get a brass dome with a corrupted status and you apply these things here. That's how you do it. Okay, my boys, now let's talk about tier 17 maps, because it's important to roll them properly. As you know, tier 17 maps are much more harder than tier 16, and in this sexy video I'll explain how to do it properly. First, you need to understand that for tier 16, you can do anything you desire with this build, but you should watch out for the following modifiers. No regeneration, that modifier is a pain in the ass, you should avoid it, and the monsters have chance to avoid being poisoned, because we need to apply poison on our enemies. You should watch out for these 2 modifiers for tier 16. And for tier 17, I will show you how to roll it properly. So you'll buy a couple of maps, depending what map you desire to run. Of course, you need to know the boss mechanics, and you will roll them with chaos orbs. So here I will provide 2 regex filters that you need to use for tier 17 maps. This is the first filter, and you will want to use chaos orbs, and everything gets highlighted like this. This will filter out the bad modifiers that will break the build or make the monsters very deadly, you know? So you'll have a good time. Basically, this is what you will do. You use the provided regex filter, as you can see it here at the bottom. Yeah, and when everything gets highlighted, you will proceed to the next regex filter. And now, everything that remains highlighted, it's good to run. So all these maps that are highlighted at all times are good to run. This is how you will do it. And I'll show you where to place the regex filter so you don't copy-paste like a noob. You press Shift Spacebar. So you will install a program called a Weekend PoE Trade. Then after you install the program, you click Shift Spacebar, you open this interface, you go to Edit, and you can place here the rolling. For example, here you'll put the first regex, and here you put the second regex. So you can bind it to whatever you desire. I suggest you bind them to the numlock keyboard, because they are on the opposite side of the keyboard. Yeah, so I have them bind it to these ones. And this is how you roll it. After you roll the maps like so, those maps are safe to run. Will be pretty safe for this build. Okay, my boys, now let's see how we can push this build even further. So I did my best to make this build as cheap as possible so that everyone can benefit out of it. Because, you know, if I just use a mage blood and expensive items, few players will be able to play it because we have limited times, limited budget. So I did my best to make it tier 17 viable on as cheap a budget as possible. But if you want to push it further, you will use here a mage blood. I will do a separate POB. I will start testing tomorrow. For the mage blood version will be a separate POB. I will also add it on the guild Discord server. You know me, I like to do info channels for my builds, and I prepared here already. You have info Herald Pressure, and I will add here all the info that you need, including the POB for the Mage Blood version. So what's important here to talk about the upgrades? First of all, the biggest upgrade that you can do is to take a Brass Dome with a Corruption +1 level sockety gems or +2 minion gems. This will give you more levels for Herald of Agony. Even this one, +1 to sockety gems, it will bump up all the support gems with 1 more. Even the Empower will get to Empower level 5, which will give you 1 extra gem for Herald of Agony. So both of those corruptions are fine. Make sure that you buy Herald of Agony level 21-20 here, because the more gem levels you have, the better damage you do. Here you want awakened damage with again, I explained these gems, you want them level 5-20 to max it, okay? This is the idea. Awaken Vicious Projectiles, Empower level 4, okay? For the Ashes of the Stars, you will get with 30 quality because it will give you more virulence, which is very important for more damage here. For the Corruption here, you can get with Perfect Spell Suppression. Endurance Charge is also fine if you want to do it. For the skill tree here, let me think. You can, if you're rich, you can get a Voices with 3 passives, not 5. This will save you 2 extra passives that you can invest in wherever you desire. Of course, you will roll your rares better in order to get good modifiers with good rolls. Maybe some life regeneration, why not? It's good here. You also, for the Embers and Ichors, maybe you will go for higher ones so you get more mitigation here. It's good. Maybe you can go for double corruptions. Maybe you will craft your gloves better. The biggest one is to get Onslaught, not on the flask, Okay, so we can drop this flask if you get onslaught on the unique ring or on the rare ring. I explain in this crafting guide how to get an onslaught ring and how to craft it yourself. You will craft it eventually and you can drop the silver flask. It's no longer needed. Good. So until then, wait for my Mage Blood variation POB that I will post in the info channel. I explain that you have everything on the guild Discord server in case you want to join. So I always like to do info channels like this with information that you need to know. Also a dedicated chat. If you have problems or questions, you can ask directly into the dedicated chat channel. When I talked a lot, literally my throat started to hurt. I hope you will enjoy this great build because it's very fun to play. It's good and it's tier 17 viable. Now I'll go take a nap. Enjoy the rest of the day and good luck.